What's up, everybody? Drasco here from 10knorm.com, where the main focus and everything that we do is helping coaches who are inconsistently hitting that 10K per month mark break through, overcome, work through, transcend the mindset and the emotional challenges standing in the way, basically how to human better, to normalize 10K months before we tackle the marketing tactics to stabilize them. All right. So with today's episode, we're diving into the third aspect of perfectionism. And if you want to check out what happened the other two episodes, go to 10knorm.com, where not only do you have access to all of the episodes, but you can download for free all the show notes, the transcripts, the additional trainings, the bonus videos, the bonus trainings, the extra resources. Like every single episode comes with other cool stuff that you can dive deeper into the topic, work through the topic yourself. And you have the full catalog downloaded at any time at 10knorm.com. So for today, what we're looking at is the third aspect of perfectionism, which is that the perfectionism, another way to look at it is like a mask of not enough, right? The perfectionism is the mask we wear to cover not enough. Okay. So in the first episode, we walk through kind of my definition of perfectionism, which is that it is a coin made out of nothing where one side is failure and the other side is ideal. Okay. We went into what all that means in the first episode. Okay, so if you want to look at that, you can check that out. Again, 10knorm.com for the full experience. In the second episode, we take a look at the failure side of the coin in more detail, which is really just about that perfectionism is the coward's procrastination. So we dive deep into a lot of like when perfectionism manifests in somebody, and let's say again, if you're on this channel, is your coach who inconsistently hits 10K per month marks, and you identify with like I have perfectionist tendencies. If it's on the failure side of the coin, oftentimes that leads to paralysis. So you are keeping yourself in that coward mode. And again, in the episode, I explained how I look at cowardice, not in any judgmental way. It happens to all of us. But basically, we feel the fear and don't do the thing that's going to move us towards stabilizing 10K a month. So we use perfectionism to procrastinate, to not feel that fear that is ultimately behind the failure bit. Okay. In today's episodes, we take a look more deeper into the ideal side of the coin. Okay, which is this mask of not being enough. Perfectionism is the mask we wear to protect the externalization, the showing, the illumination, the reflection that we're not enough. All right. So to dive deeper into that, if you are on YouTube, you are able to see the full video of the notes that I'm kind of working through as I talk about this. So if you're on audio only, you can check out the YouTube one. You can download all the links as well. And so the ideal side of that definition, right? Perfection is a coin made out of nothing, where one side's failure, the other side is ideal. So the ideal side is protecting you from feeling and feelings of not being enough. If we're constantly chasing the ideal, and if we can get it and we can over deliver, and again, in the first video, I go through the difference between over deliver and over exert. When perfectionism is working its thing, it's oftentimes that we're overexerting to deliver more than we need to at the expense of ourselves. Okay, this leaves us exhausted. That ideal, chasing that, putting that out there, making that a result, making that a requirement, making that mean something about you. At the end of the day, it is the protection, it is the mask of how we inherently feel not enough. Because if the outside thing that I put out can be so controlled, can have all the T's and I's crossed, can have everything that I possibly could ever need, not just to over deliver, but to overwork and to do things you weren't even asked to do, not for the sake of like advancement, like there's a time and place for that, but when I'm like the distorted aspect of that, if I can control these things enough, then I am protected. I've put this mask, I've put this scaffolding around me, so I never truly have to feel that I'm enough, right? For coaches that are, and it's actually, I mean, all of these things can be applied for any level, but, you know, I specifically speak to coaches and I work with coaches, and the 10K norm program is for coaches who are under the 10K per month mark. Oftentimes we'll exhaust ourselves working with people we have, you know, no like need to work with, that have shown red flags that we ignored, that we shouldn't even be working with them. We over deliver on, you know, answering comments we don't need to be answering. We, you know, spend so much time putting out the simplest things. Like we'll take an hour to write a 15-minute email. And again, see, perfection is always coming out when I do these videos. Every single one so far has had an imperfect moment. I love it. So what it comes down to is like, if the distortion of over delivering ends up being over exertion, that is the side of the perfectionism coin that we truly want to work on. And we want to work on the right game. And the right game is something I'll cover in the last video for this. But as far as the mask of not enough, when we chase that ideal, right, when we want to do everything possible to make it happen, because, you know, we're just perfectionists, we have high standards, like whatever is the narrative we tell ourselves, what you're really doing is you're avoiding and dulling the pain of that feeling that we're not enough. It is painful to say I'm not enough, especially in some sort of public fashion, especially if you're a coach, right? Like God knows I've been here. I think pretty much every, like, again, we can give the label of imposter syndrome, but like, if I feel like I'm not enough, how could I possibly coach other people? I need to get better at my thing. That's why I can't hit 10K months. How is it these people that know less than me can show more than me? Like all of these narratives at the end of the day are about not enough. We're now exploring perfectionism from that aspect, that it's not about, you know, doing the imperfect actions per se. That is the superficial external element of it. But ultimately what it comes down to is like, if I feel enough, if I feel worthy, if I feel secure in my sense of self, like what does it really matter if I put out something that's imperfect, right? If I do write a 1-sentence email, well, normally I would extrapolate and explain all these things on like why somebody should do something. And if somebody asks this question or has a complaint or whatever, like if all I need to say is 10 words, but instead I write 10 paragraphs, if I was enough, I would just write the 10 words, right? I write the 10 words and I move on with myself. I would just put out a content piece of just me looking into a camera and speaking my piece. Right? When I started this whole thing, right, I always talk about like the math to get to 10K months is easy. The drama is hard. And perfectionism is drama, right? Like you could know nothing about marketing. You could know nothing about how to, you know, write the perfect copy and just put stuff out there in your own authentic voice. And like, it's almost impossible not to get some sort of results. Like whether you get 10K months or you get 5K months or you get 25K months, like that is just now a refinement of the objective piece. But when you remove the drama, so many things just open up, right? So this whole movement, this whole 10K norm bit, the 10K norm program, that's what it's really truly about. How do you remove the drama so that you can execute on the easy math? All right. So when it comes to perfectionism, and I'm just reading through the notes that are on screen. So again, if you're not watching this on YouTube, you can go check that out. If you want to continue listening to it and file your own and make your own notes, you can go to 10knorm.com and download the full catalog of every episode with the bonuses, etc. But if we can get that thing to be oh so perfect, to ensure that the T's and I's are checked and crossed, then no one can ever say anything bad. Like, whether we know that consciously or not, that is inherently what we're thinking when we're playing on the side of the ideal part of the coin of perfectionism. And it's oftentimes, it's frantic, it's stress-filled, it's burnout-inducing, and it's a chase to place the worthiness of ourselves in the external, in the other, right? So you can focus on the tactics and work on productivity to like get stuff out there. You can buy the next marketing course that gives you a new way to do something, the next shiny thing. You can try that out. You can get through the motivation of joining something new or having some sort of support and release stuff out there. But ultimately, it comes down to, if that is scaffolding that just supports you to do the actions that you inherently are too stuck in the drama to do on your own, you are only as good as that external support being there. Okay? So when it comes to wearing the mask of not enough from the perspective of perfectionism, you got to realize that if I am on the side of the coin where I just do too much and exhaust myself, what you're really doing, the game you really need to play, is moving inwards and being like, okay, how can I work to be enough regardless of what the outcome is? How can I let reality judge my results instead of me judging them ahead of time? This is one of the big tenets we work on in the 10K Norm program, where it's like, if it comes to marketing, let the market tell you how it responds, right? It's not on you to say, no, this will be received this way. This is going to be stupid. This is not helpful. This is helpful. I thought this was going to be helpful. Like, let the market decide, right? Have a relationship with reality where, hey, reality, I'm going to put this out. What do I get back? Crickets? Okay, why does that have to be something with me? Right? I put it out, I have influence in it, but if the reaction to it is I clearly was not good enough, I have to make it more perfect, and you spend 10 hours doing something that you could spend 10 minutes on, what you've really done is you've wasted 9 hours and 50 minutes of iteration time where you could be putting out multiple 10-minute things, each a little different, and see how reality can actually respond back and see which one actually works. You might be surprised at which one actually works, right? Because when it comes to 10K norm and stabilizing 10K months, you know your stuff as a coach, but it's, are you meeting people where they're at? As far as the market is concerned, it's the most important piece. So when it comes to perfectionism in this particular way, you got to remember that as long as you're operating under that I am not enough bit, perfectionism is just going to be a mask, and you can make that mask more efficient with, like I said, new programs, productivity hacks, whatever, but you're never really going to transcend enough to actually take that mask off and operate from a place of inherent worth where the marketing, the tactics, like that just becomes the doing, right? One of the things we talk about when it relates to action in 10K Norm program is action is actually enjoying what you're creating. Action is actually enjoying the experience of manifesting. Action is actually enjoying interacting with the world, right? It's not how you make things happen, it's how you enjoy the things that are happening. Okay? So if perfectionism is getting in that way and you're on the side of overexerting, so you're on the ideal side of that coin, right? Just remember that oftentimes what you're really searching for is to have that tight grip on everything that's happening. Like, I have to control and ensure that the environment is such that I never have to see reality, other people, responses, feedback reflect back to me what I unconsciously or consciously, quote unquote, know to be true, which is that I'm not enough. That's the reason why we burn out. That's the reason why we exhaust ourselves as it relates to perfectionism. It is that fear that we will be shown, right? You can think of it as imposter syndrome as well. And I think as I get into future episodes, like, that's one of the things that is the main theme. It's like all of these are just pretty labels to very inherent human things that we all experience. And the longer you attach to the label, the further you are from playing the game that's actually going to get you to move forward, right? Perfectionism sounds a lot better than I'm just dulling the fact that I believe I'm not enough. It's a nicer label, okay? And the way through that, like I said, we'll handle that in the next episode. I'll go through a deep example on how to do that. But the coin of perfectionism is made out of nothing, right? Its tenets don't exist. Failure doesn't exist. Ideal doesn't exist. And you're basing your sense of self on the ideal side. It's I'm not enough. On the failure side, it's the fear of being wrong. You're basing all of that on nothing. The end result is nothing. You either get nothing done, or for the things that you do get done, you get none of the things you wanted, which is fulfillment, satisfaction, the joy of action. Or if you do get 10K months, you're exhausted and miserable as a result of it. So it's nothing is the result of the coin of perfectionism. So we have to navigate this part of ourselves by tolerating, right? So emotionally having the capacity to tolerate letting go of the outcome, being okay with things not being okay, and practicing standing in our own power. That is the transcendence of perfectionism. And that's the difference. Like, if you want to play the short game, all good. That has its benefits. It's needed in the moment, because all of these like tactical things, 5-second action, imperfect action, ship before you're ready, like all these kind of mental notions, mental tricks to get you over that hump, they are necessary in the moment. They are part of the toolkit that moves you through that turbulence of resistance. But to truly transcend it, to not have to always rely on the external scaffolding to support you through it, to be intrinsically motivated to do this as opposed to extrinsically or supported intrinsically, transcendence is the only way. And it is where the true freedom lies, to continue to level up. Because all of these things come up again and again at every single instance of leveling up. That is a definition of resistance in a 10K norm program. We go through exactly, why it happens, why the conflict exists, which part of your brain is involved in doing it. But anyway, that's a story for another day. The point is, as it relates to perfectionism, your job here, if you're on the ideal side, is to really just tolerate letting go of the control of the outcome, which you ultimately don't actually control. All right. So if you want the show notes to this, if you want the links to all the other recordings, the other show notes, the other transcripts, all of the other previous episodes, you can get them all at 10knorm.com. In the last episode on perfectionism, I'm going to do a deep dive into how you actually work through these things. So if you've gone through these 3 episodes, the 4th one will put this all together. On screen, I'm going to go through the actual worksheet on how to do this. I'll give examples. And then you can work through yourself. You can download it at 10knorm.com and take it from there and do your own thing. All right, that's that for today. Happy non-perfect day to you. See you later, guys.